Hi, I'm Elliot Cooper.
And my name is Demetrius Gudnitz. We are academic advisors for undeclared students. This is the PEAK program, the program to encourage academic knowledge. The program includes this video presentation with information on CSU scholastic standards and policies and strategies that you can use to evaluate your efforts and take steps to improve your GPA. It is mandatory for all undeclared Probation 1 students to view this presentation, complete the PEAK quiz, and meet with your assigned advisor. To start, get out a pen and paper because we want these plans to be in writing so that you can create your own strategy and put that into motion.
We want to start by saying that we definitely believe that you can succeed at CSU. CSU admits successful students, and admissions to CSU is competitive. We definitely believe that you can be successful.
All right, let's start by looking at academic probation. It is important to understand that you are not alone. Roughly 15% of all freshmen are placed on academic probation after their first semester at CSU. Making that transition from high school to college or from one college to another is difficult. A large number of students on probation are working through this transition. The fact is, though, something must change. There's no guarantee that you will return to good standing. You need a plan. Your goal is to return to good standing and a higher GPA. So, you need to draft, write down, and follow a specific plan. This PEAK video is the start. This video will present you with resources and ideas to get you started on that plan. Second semester probation students will be dismissed from the university if overall GPA is not a 2.0 or higher. So the time to work and improve your academic efforts is now. You can return to good standing. We want you to be more than a statistic tied to academic dismissal. We want you to complete your goals and dreams at CSU.
This slide is going to illustrate why a 2.0 GPA or higher is important. Any student who has a cumulative GPA below a 2.0 is placed on academic probation. Students on academic probation who do not raise their cumulative GPA to a 2.0 or higher after 2 regular semesters, that's fall and spring, will be dismissed. In order to graduate from CSU as well, all students must have a minimum of a 2.0 cumulative GPA. You can read more about scholastic standards in the CSU General Catalog. So let's talk a little bit about understanding your GPA or grade point average. This table gives you a quick view of grades at CSU. Note that professors can choose to use a plus or minus grading system, which results in different points. So a B plus would be a 3.334, a straight B would be a 3.0, and a B minus is a 2.667. Note that there is no plus or minus grading below the letter of C. Make sure you understand the class syllabus and how your grades in each class result in your semester grades. So, let's talk about repairing your GPA. You need to repair your GPA now. If you're not repairing it now, then dismissal becomes more likely. Repairing your GPA is a change that you can make. Repairing your GPA depends on how close your cumulative GPA is to a 2.0 and the number of credits that you've taken. Once you're at or below a 2.0, D's will further damage your GPA and C's will make very little difference. D's will only make it harder for you to return to a 2.0, and C's, remember, are not what you need. C's will not raise your GPA back into good standing. You can't graduate with C's and D's. The more total credits you have will also mean the more coursework you will need in order to repair your GPA. We're going to jump into a couple of examples here in a little bit.
Awesome. Thanks, Elliot. So let's look at calculating your GPA. In order to predict your semester GPA, you must first understand how to calculate quality points. Quality points are the point values that are associated with each letter grade. Here are some examples of those letter grades. An A is worth a 4.0, a B is worth a 3.0, a C is worth a 2.0, a D is worth a 1.0, and an F is worth no points at all. And so you'll often hear these points tossed around, but these points actually do enter into some math, so let's look at that math. The number of credits you take during the semester will affect your GPA. Before we look at calculating semester grades, let's look at a quick example of how credits can have an effect on grades. To calculate, we take the number of credits for the class and multiply that times the grade points earned to get the total quality points earned. Since credits are multiplied by grade points, there can be large differences in the number of quality points you earn. If you take 1 credit and earn an A, remember that's worth 4 grade points, you earn 4 quality points. And that math is here. 1 times 4 is 4 quality points. So the difference here can be is if you take 12 credits and you earn A's, 4 points for each credit, you earn 48 quality points. So that math shows that there's a difference with quality points being multiplied by each credit. Now let's look at this example with a full semester of classes. Calculating your GPA for a semester. Don't be misled, do the math. And it's straightforward math for the most part, so let's take a look at how that can work. Here's a grid, and in yellow, you'll see a student has taken 12 total credits. 2 3-credit classes, a 2-credit class at the top, and a 4-credit class at the bottom. And if we look at grades initially, we'll say, hey, not too bad. An A, a B, a C, and only 1 D. But note that that D is on a 4-credit class, and we'll come back to talk about that in just a little bit. So grades are there in blue, and then the grade points associated for the grade earned are there in green. On this grid, you'll see that we've started to do that math. I'll just give the top as an example, right? 2 credits times a 4.0A gives you 8 points. And then I'll go to the bottom and look at that D grade. 4 credits, you're like, yay, 4 credits. But with only a D, you're only getting 1 point for that. So that's only 4 quality points. Doing that math, adding all the orange numbers, we'll get 27 total quality points. And then quality points divided by credits is what will give you your GPA. So 27 divided by 12 is a 2.25 GPA. And again, when we initially looked at those grades, we would have thought, hey, not too bad. But there are a number of students who feel that, hey, 2.25 is not what I was aiming for. So that's looking at a quick example. Let's look at calculations for credits on several semesters. So let's assume you have a 1.6 cumulative GPA based on 24 quality points and 15 credits attempted. Using this example, you can add all quality points and divide by all credits attempted. So reading this first column, top to bottom, shows 24 quality points in green, and that's 24 points on 15 credits in white. The bottom row is GPA, so the 24 quality points divided by 15 credits equals a 1.6 GPA. The second column uses the grades from the previous slide as a sample projection of current semester grades. This shows 27 quality points in green on 12 credits in white. 27 divided by 12 equals a 2.25 GPA. The third column shows the totals for row 1 and 2. Total green quality points equals 51. Total white credits equals 27. So 51 quality points divided by 27 credits would equal a 1.88 GPA. Note that a 1.88 GPA is still below a 2.0, and in this example, the student is not off academic probation. See the Calculating GPA worksheet on the RamCT Peak homepage and speak with your academic advisor for examples of grades that will help you get off probation based on your quality points and credits.
Woo! So, lots of math coming at you, and we appreciate you for paying attention. What we want to do is we want to show you now a practical example of what you can see when you go find your unofficial transcript on RamWeb. So, we're taking this guy right here, and looking at it, we'll show you where you can find all of the information that you need to do your very own GPA calculation. On this sample transcript on the left, you can see your CSU grade points highlighted in orange, your CSU GPA credit hours highlighted here in blue, and your current CSU cumulative GPA highlighted here in yellow. Predicting your current semester, you can add totals as we did here, and then divide total quality points by total credits. In this example, a student with 84 points divided by 43 credits has a 1.95 GPA and is on academic probation. With this many credits, the student needs to earn B grades in 6 credits to be able to return to back above a 2.0 GPA. So, looking at these calculations, we can see that 84 existing points plus 18 projected points equals 102 total points in orange. 43 credits plus 6 current credits equals 49 total credits in blue. Therefore, 102 divided by 49 equals a 2.08 cumulative GPA.
Awesome. All right, who's ready for more math? No, I'm teasing. But let's look at some scenarios for improving your GPA and how these calculations can make a difference. So in example 1, let's say that GPA is a 1.7 on 15 credits. If you're currently enrolled in 12 credits and you use your existing GPA, earn all C's, your new GPA is only a 1.8, and you're now on academic probation 2 and facing academic dismissal, right? So again, if we wanted to make changes, let's not keep earning C and D grades, let's raise that up. So in that same example, if you take that existing GPA and you earn all B's in the semester, then your new GPA is a 2.27, right? This would return you to good academic standing. 2 things to highlight here. With fewer credits, you can more easily affect or influence your GPA. Note the differences B's make in the second example to improve the GPA and return you to good standing. You should work to earn grades higher than C's now. So let's look at another example of some of these scenarios, and let's take the same GPA, right? So still a 1.7, but now you've got more credits. You've got 45 credits. Again, if you were taking 12 credits and had your existing GPA but only earned C's, your new GPA is a 1.75. If you took your existing GPA, earned all B's, then your new GPA would be a 1.97. Note that in neither of these scenarios would return you to good standing. In the last example, all B's pulled 15 credits of a 1.7 above a 2.0. Recognize here that all B's on 45 credits with a 1.7 GPA only raise you to a 1.97. No, the university does not round up to a 2.0. A 1.97 is exactly that, a 1.97, which is below a 2.0 GPA. This shows why it's important to repair your GPA now. There's no waiting. Please connect with your advisor to discuss specific plans aimed at improving your performance. Here's one thing to remember. Here's a nice visual for you. Let's think of this line as a GPA line, right? A balance, if you will. This will start to tilt because D's and F's damage your GPA and C's solidify that low GPA. A's and B's improve that GPA. So once you're below a 2.0, note that only A's and B's help raise your GPA toward or above a 2.0. If you're below a 2.0, you can earn C's and or a 2.0 GPA for the semester, but not return to or above an overall 2.0 GPA. Again, this means that you'll need B's and A's to return above a 2.0 and back into good standing.
Alrighty, so we've ran you through the numbers. Now let's talk a little bit about some strategies for academic success. But first, let's review what not to do. Remember, habits impact success. So, do not text in class. Ladies and gentlemen, it is very important for you to put your phone away and pay attention to your professor. As well, there are a lot of other distractions. Keep the Collegian down. Keep the Coloradoan down. Keep the New York Times down. Do not get into Facebook or Snapchat or anything else like that. When you're in class, it is very important and very valuable for you to be paying attention to your professor. They're saying many things that will probably appear in the test and that you will not be able to read in textbooks. As well, please make sure that you're not being a distraction to other students by trying to talk with them. And, of course, when you go to class, be present. Do not sleep during your class. Make sure you're getting plenty of sleep so that you can stay awake during class.
Thanks, Elliot. Let's take a look at some of those do's then, right? These are things that will help you be a successful student at CSU. So do. Check your CSU email account for important updates and information. Do. See your advisor at least once every semester to ensure you're on track for graduation. Do. Use resources on campus, most of which are paid for with your student fees. This is the Tilt building, and you'll see Tilt has a ton of fantastic resources for students. You can see a full list of resources by opening the resources file on your RAMCT homepage for this PEAK program. For each class, you must attend every class. No, seriously, we mean every class. You never know what information the professor may give in class that will not be available later. Information covered in class might not even be on RAMCT, and that's if your professor uses RAMCT. So please attend class. 2, we want you to take thorough notes. Review notes after class as soon as possible to help retain the information. Review notes after class. Read the syllabi and refer to the course syllabus at the beginning of the semester and keep for reference throughout the semester. This is an agreement contract between you and your professor. Buy your supplies and books early, and then visit your professor and/or TA during office hours and ask about any material you don't understand. It may seem intimidating, but many students report their professors and instructors are easier to approach than they thought initially. Make it a priority to meet with your professor for each of your courses. Then you have a starting point. All right. Ready, Elliot?
I'm ready. Let's talk through 7 steps to improve your academic practices. Step number 1, identify your strengths and weaknesses and go to class. So, the critical first step is to admit that, yeah, I've been having problems and I need to put these problems into perspective. You may have failed a class or 2, but you are not a failure. College is hard, and it's a full-time job, and it takes time to learn how to become a college student. A GPA below 2.0 means, yeah, I fell down, but I can jump back up and work on what I do as a student and begin improving my GPA. College is a different learning environment, so you can develop new and different skills to be successful again. And yes, you can become successful again. Know that you can succeed. Identify strengths to grow stronger semester by semester. Also, you need to identify why you're on academic probation. The PEAK self-assessment on the main PEAK page in RAMCT will help you look at a list of practices that likely affected your previous semester or semesters. Remember to print this out and bring it into your advising meeting to discuss your specific situation. Ask your academic advisor for help. If you had last semester to do over, what changes would you make? Your advisor can help you consider what went wrong and can help direct you to many different campus resources.
Awesome. Thanks, Elliot. Let's now take a look at step 2 in setting goals. It's smart for every student to identify and create SMART goals. This will be a little bit of a longer slide, but stay with me. I think there's some great information here about goals, and I think that goals are important because you can't aim your efforts if you don't have goals to aim for, right? So let's look here. Our focus here is to make sure that you set goals and write them down. A list of goals floating around in your head is just wishful thinking. If you expect to change your academic performance, then you need to know what your goal is so that you can plan to get there. Again, we suggest SMART goals. So let's take a look at this. S is for specific. Your goals should be specific, and you want to focus your efforts on a set of specific points. Don't just say, I'm going to buckle down or I'm going to do better. Instead, set specific goals like, I plan to study 30 minutes more every day. It's a more specific, more focused task that you can tend to. Second, any goal should be measurable. This means there is a clear measuring stick, an evaluation tool you can use to determine what success looks like. It can also help you understand how and when you get there. If you focus on studying for 30 minutes, keep a spreadsheet or mark your calendar to track the time you put in. Whatever your goal, it needs to be clear and you need to know how to measure your progress on that task. A stands for attainable. Saying, I'm going to get straight A's for the next 3 semesters is clear, but it's also overwhelming and not likely attainable. It's almost like saying, I'm going to climb Mount Everest this weekend. You might have an idea of what you want to do and not be able to do it. What you ask yourself to do has to be something you can reasonably reproduce. If you don't know what's reasonable, then you should work with a campus resource like your advisor to agree on what is a reasonable goal. Next is R, which here is for relevant. Your goal should be relevant. This means that your goal ties into and answers the question of, what is the end result I'm looking for? For example, a company wouldn't ask a person that works in computer support to look at sales figures. unless it relates to some aspect of computers. The company is more likely to get someone involved in sales to look at sales figures and report back. Somehow, you should be able to answer the question, how does this relate to the desired outcomes and your efforts for this semester? Finally, your goal should be time-based or time-bound. This means that you have a kind of clock or calendar on what needs to be done so you know when your goal is due. Not knowing your direction at the beginning of the semester means you'll likely have little focus at the beginning of the semester, which will likely dig a hole too deep to get out of even with your best efforts in the last weeks of the semester. Consider making weekly goals so you know what you have to get done for the week and can measure your efforts for that week. Remember to write down your goals. Have a list and post it somewhere you can see so that you are focused on these goals. Here's one person who put up goals right by the mirror so they can see those goals each day.
And on we go into creating and following a schedule. Step 3. So what we're going to talk about in this slide is creating a schedule. And to do that, we're going to use this blank grid. And we're going to be writing it down, of course, and we're going to be, like we said in the SMART goals, we're going to be specific. So, as we go through in filling this out, I want to remind you that you can print a schedule grid from the RAMCT Peak homepage as well. It's important to recognize your body needs rest, so get enough sleep, and we're not going to throw that in there, but we are going to talk about a whole bunch of other pieces. You should also plan on eating because you need food to fuel your efforts. You also need to remember to attend class, so start by filling in all of your class times. Still lots and lots of open space, right? Use your time wisely so that you can study between class breaks. For many students, staying in work mode is helpful, so study between classes. Note that by doing so, you can still get in a few hours of studying and be done by the evening. Also, plan for a few hours of studying over the weekend to help you keep connected with the material in between your 2-day break. Doing so will give you more contact time with material and means that you don't need to study as long during the weeknights. And don't forget, if you need help, there are many tutoring options on campus. Ask your advisor for more information. Even after you plan all this out, look at all the free time you still have. Make good use of it so that you are doing good work and keep refreshed and rested. Again, don't forget, it is very important to put this on paper.
All right, let's look at step 4 in getting the most out of the class. Sit in the front. This here is a picture of a classroom from the back, and I can barely see the boards. So sitting up front can keep you more engaged and make you more connected with the professor and what's going on in the class. Again, very poor view here of the board from this back of the class photo. Go to every class, and we mean every class. But what if I'm sick? Well, could you make it to your best friend's wedding in this condition? If so, then you're well enough to go to class. Go to every class. You paid for it. Arrive early and stay until the end. Arrive early so you can get a seat closer to the front. Find seats in your classes where you feel you can see well, engage with class, and take something away from the lecture. Give your instructor your full attention. Turn off your cell phone. But I might have to text somebody. You'll live without it for a few hours. Avoid distractions. If you know your laptop, phone, or tablet will tempt you to open other applications, then take notes by hand. Don't sit with friends if it tempts you to chat or lose focus. If you find yourself surrounded by unfocused people and all those people aren't doing well in the class, then you owe it to yourself to move somewhere else in the class.
Fantastic advice. And as we move along, we want to talk just a little bit more about taking those nice, strong notes. That is step 5. Even if your instructor posts notes on RAMCT, or even if your friends take way better notes than you do, you need to write down what you hear in every lecture. Remember the importance of getting ideas down in paper. Writing helps you learn. It actually turns your brain on. And if you record lectures or take notes on your laptop, you should still be writing, even if only for key points and or reminders. As you write notes, try to focus on the materials at hand. Check out the Tilt website for free academic skills, workshops, and tutoring, including good note-taking.
All right. We are trucking along here now, moving on to step 6 in being an active learner. Here we're going to talk about the SQR3 method, which is just an acronym for the couple things we'll talk about down below. So let's talk about the S, which is survey, and you want to break down the chapters into sections. This helps you get a sense of how material is organized in the book and what will be covered in that chapter. Let's look at question after that, right? What you want to do is give yourself a quick self-quiz. Recall what you already know about the topic. Spend a few minutes thinking about what you already know about this and what you've heard in lecture. Read at your normal speed. Use your highlighter sparingly during this read. This first read is about active listening, so you give your full attention to the reading. You're reading to comprehend as much as you can. Then you want to recite. Reciting is a way to check how much you grasped from the reading. Orally ask yourself questions about what you've just read, or summarize in your own words what you've read. Take notes from the text, writing the information in your own words. Mark in your text the areas of importance. Use the method of recitation that best suits your particular learning style. Remember, the more senses you use, the more likely you are to remember what you read. And remember to set time for studying. If you highlight, note that this is just highlighting, and you'll still need to make time for reading and studying. And then we have review as the last R here. Review means you revisit the material in a number of ways. Go back through the text, reread your notes, identify key points, answer questions you had during the first read, create flashcards, out loud test yourself on the material, and or work with a friend to quiz one another. Approaching a text with smaller steps like these makes that text more doable.
All right, folks, last but not least, step number 7, preparing for exams. So, we're going to have 2 slides on this real quick. First and foremost, many classes are comprehensive, so start the semester with a strong first test, even if you have the option of dropping a grade. You need to start strong. Don't wait until the last minute. You'll likely be crying. The guy in the lower right-hand corner has decided to read all of his chapters one day before. This will not help at all. The crying will begin. In college, you don't want to worry the week before the test. Do yourself a favor and be studying 5 to 6 days each week so that you are consistently seeing and remembering the information. See it as practice or training for a sport. These are things that need to be done regularly, if not daily, if you want to be at peak performance. The takeaway here is do not count on cramming at the last minute or pulling an all-nighter to save you. These habits are bad for your health and bad for your GPA. So, what do you think you should do? Let me tell you. I recommend that you start preparing early. Start studying for your next exam the day after you finish one. Review your notes weekly. About a week after your exam, organize all of your lecture and text notes and begin your careful review. Pull together work you have done with your text, your notes, information from lecture, and info that you've researched. Also, think about what your ideas are in regards to the concepts. One way to really engage with the material is to think of ways you can creatively interact with the material.
The following slides will help you start to develop strategies. They will help you put into action all the information you received from Peak and start getting connected with your goals for the semester. Right? So let's look at developing your strategies. Get back on track one step at a time. Be realistic. Don't expect to completely turn things around in a couple of weeks or even in one semester. No change happens overnight. Know that you'll need time to adjust to your new expectations and goals. If you feel you're struggling, evaluate how things are working and what you can change. Give yourself time. It takes time to master the art of studying. Give yourself time to concentrate on each necessary step. Again, evaluate what is working for you and what isn't. Plan to talk with your advisor and/or professors about your plans and goals. Find campus resources. Find those resources that will help you develop your academic skills. Remember, you can see a list of resources on the main Peak page in RAM-CT and on the Peak self-assessment sheet. Campus resources can give you support as you master the art of studying. You should seek and find support at the beginning of the semester. Don't wait for an emergency to arise.
So let's talk about establishing goals. Establishing goals can rely on many variables. As you make goals, try to be smart be balanced, and be proactive. Remember the SMART goals we talked about earlier and refer to the goal setting worksheet on the main RamCT page. Remember to write down your goals. Goals that only live in your mind are just wishful thinking. Most importantly, when you set these goals, you can then ramp up your willpower to meet these goals. Think about smokers who feel motivated to quit. It's not the motivation that helps them, it's willpower. Their goal is to quit, so they have willpower to see them through even when they really, really want to smoke. So what are your goals? How will you make it through rough spots? How will you summon your willpower? Willpower is stronger and more consistent than motivation. Willpower is a choice.
Great info. Thanks, Elliot. So let's look at balancing your schedule. Being a student is a full-time job. Remember the full grid we drafted up earlier? 15 credits of class will require 45 hours of class and study time per week. Make time for all your academic tasks. If you have to work, limit your work hours. If you're not working and feel you have too much free time, find a job or activity to be involved with on campus. Working on campus may allow more flexibility in your schedule, and your supervisor will understand that school is a priority. It's suggested that students who have to work no more than 10 to 15 hours per week. Students who work longer hours are usually less successful academically. If you have to work full-time, consider limiting your class schedule and talk to your advisor about what your thoughts are. Remember the schedule planning grid. If you have to work, then your work hours should be marked on your calendar, and you should recognize how this limits your ability to complete necessary academic work.
So now that we've talked about setting and establishing these goals, let's talk about tracking your performance. Know the pulse of your academics. How can you improve your efforts and performance without knowing your current status? Remember, goals must be measurable, so you have to know what your current measurement or goal is. Track all of your grades throughout the semester. To improve and maintain your GPA, you should track all of your grades, including quizzes, papers, exams, in-class work, labs, projects, and everything else that might pop up. Reference the grade tracking sheet in the resources folder on the main RamCT Peak page. Don't rely on what you hope or what you think you'll get. Plan to adjust your efforts and study time based on the grades you receive. Read your syllabi. Read the syllabus for each of your courses. Determine whether larger assignments, test projects, essays, etc. will count more heavily towards your final grade than daily assignments such as quizzes, homework attendance, and plan accordingly. If you know how assignments count towards your final grade, you have the power to control your efforts and hopefully earn the grade you want and or need. As well, you should meet with your professors. You should both know your progress and check in often with your instructor to confirm how you are doing in your classes. Last but certainly not least, use the GPA tools that we've talked about. Remember, you can use the Grade Predictor and Target GPA tools in RamWeb. You can find them at the bottom of the RamWeb homepage. Use them to help you think about your current GPA and the grades you need in order to repair your GPA.
All right, now let's look at academic policies and probation policies. You want to know your academic probation policies. It is important to keep course withdrawal deadlines in mind. Course withdrawal may be an option for you so you don't further damage your GPA. Check the class schedule and individual courses for the specific course withdrawal dates. Other academic probation policies in place that might help students out include things like the repeat delete option, individual course withdrawal, university withdrawal. Keep in mind also, student financial aid policies out there may be impacted by your GPA and your performance in classes. Knowing these policies will help you repair and protect your GPA.
So to bring all of these things to fruition, we ask you to meet with your academic advisor. Know your advisor. Remember, advisors are your resource. Advisors can help you with programs of study, finding clubs, organizations, or internships, and also provide you access to campus resources. They also can provide you with insight on balancing your schedule and helping to plan and work towards your attainable goals. Make appointments to discuss probation. Plan to meet with your advisor 2 to 3 times this semester to discuss your starting point, where you're at, or your progress, what challenges you see, and needs and successes. Be prepared. When you go in to meet with your academic advisor, be prepared to discuss your difficulties and what you feel you can change. For your peak appointment, you must bring your self-assessment from this online course.
Now let's take a look at being your best advocate. The person most invested in your success is you. Therefore, you have to advocate for yourself. This means you know your needs and get help to support you and your needs. The peak self-assessment will help you start to identify your needs. As you work through the semester, be very aware of what challenges you have, what's not working for you, and then work to identify what it is you need. Ask for help. While you have to advocate for yourself, plan to seek help and support. Ask for that help. Meet with your advisor, professor, mentor, classmates, friends, and let them know your semester goals. By sharing with others and asking for support, you will have a network behind you as you take on challenges of this next semester. Use resources. Being an advocate means you are doing all you need to do and be as successful as you want to be. To be successful, you do not have to go it alone. Again, know your needs, ask for help, and seek resources that will help you be the best that you can be. The Tilt Building on the Oval and the CSU Library near the Plaza are great places to find and utilize resources.
So, utilizing the information provided in this presentation, we know that you can be successful at CSU. You can do it!
Great. Ready to wrap this up, Elliot?
Ready indeed.
All right.
Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes the peak presentation. High fives! So, what you need to do now is go to RamCT and take the peak quiz. As well, don't forget to complete your self-assessment that you're going to bring in to your advising meeting with your advisor. And you're going to call CASA at this phone number here to schedule your peak appointment. Thanks for bearing with us, folks, and we look forward to seeing you.